Sure, if it's bad, absolutely. What is the first perspective of psychology? Good. What is it, Macy? Structuralism. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is the name of the gentleman who is going to let me try this again. What is the name of the gentleman who creates functionalism? What is the name of the gentleman who creates functionalism? Good. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on. What? Who is it, Matthew?
William James.
William James. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is the name of the major tool used in structuralism? What is the major tool used in structuralism? Good. What is it? Hannah? Introspection. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is the first branch of psychology? What is the first branch of psychology?
Historical or modern?
Historical. First branch, not quite. I got 1. What is the first type of psychology? What is it, James? Structuralism. Who is the founder of structuralism? That's a whiteboard question.
It's fun to say.
Good. Who is it, Madison? There you go. I go with
the young man that you sent. I went ahead and took that book and assigned it to him. If that's okay with you, I can replace it if you want. It was the kid that went from 4th period to.
Oh, that's fine. That's not a big deal.
So
Yeah.
I took that book and went ahead and assigned
That
it
is
to him.
totally fine. No problem at all.
All right, Miss Bennett, awesome or super awesome?
They're a little cranky with me at the moment.
Okay.
They have a test tomorrow. Give them a couple weeks. They'll come
Oh,
around.
tomorrow's Thursday's the big day in here, right?
Yeah, well, typically because we're starting a new
Sure,
week,
sure.
so I'm testing on Tuesday this week, and then week 2 week 2 research we get on our Thursdays.
Yes.
So this is our first big round.
Good luck.
Good luck. Here we go. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the perspective that focuses solely on Freud? What is the name of the perspective that focuses solely on Freud? Freud. It's right next to your head, man. Good. What is it, Skylar? Psychoanalysis. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the purely science perspective that only deals with measurable data? What perspective is based on solely as much science as possible? Good. What is it, Eva? Behaviorism. On your whiteboard, please tell me what perspective does Titchener fall under? Titchener falls under what perspective? You guys have some studying to do tonight. Valeria. There you go. Do you see it didn't take me that long to decide that time? There you go. Valeria, it is structuralism. Very nice. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the first woman to earn a PhD in psychology's name? Good. Payton. Washburn. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what perspective is pretty much only used for sensation perception? Sensation perception is what perspective? Good. What is it, Sophia? Gestalt. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is John B. Watson and Pavlov fall under what perspective? John B. Watson and Pavlov fall under what perspective? Good. Tyrese, what is it? Behaviorism. All right, here we go. So who can raise their hand and tell me where we left off? What perspective did we get to? Because I've been adding to my notes. Psychodynamic? Biopsychological, huh? Humanistic, perfect. All right, let's join and start at humanistic. All right, so humanistic is going to be the most positive outlook on for humans. Now, if you're familiar, I'll take those out of the way. Thank you very much for practicing them. Now, we're all aware of evolution, correct? Who's the name of the dude behind evolution? Charles Darwin. Now, I'm going to jump to Darwin in order to help you understand humanistic. If you look over here, I do have evolutionary. If you want to write this down in your study guide, you're more than welcome to. It's all right here for you. My other class has got a little bit further ahead. Evolutionary is going to be based on Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin, what's the name of his book? What is the name of Darwin's book? Oh my God. No. Charles animals, Darwin? It is natural selection, is his big theory. Oh my god, I just had it sandwich. Oh my god, now I've gone blank. People, we should all be able to re-say this. Origin of man, origin of species, right? Is origin of species? Oh my god, people. It's Origin of Species. You're all looking at me blank. It's Origin of Species, which is his original work. Now, Origin of Species, natural selection. Darwin says we evolved from animals, correct? That's what the evolutionary perspective. Darwin is the center of it. We believe that everything we do is motivated by our animal instincts. So animals, do they like, for instance, if we had 2 ducks, I don't know. If you were a female duck, would you want a weak male duck or strong male duck? To be your strong, absolutely. If you were a male duck, would you want a fat duck for your mating partner? Or would you want a skinny duck? You'd want a fat one because you need to make sure your genetics pass on. That's what evolution is all about. It's about finding someone that is going to make your genes better in order to ensure your children survive. Evolution. Darwin. Everything we do is motivated by that. So if you're attracted to people like Kim Kardashian, who has big breasts, big hips, then you're evolutionary based. If you believe that smarts are more important and I want to be able to have him making some money, not out there, doing whatever he does physically, then you have, in fact, become a humanist. Darwin, evolutionary, and humanist are the opposites. Evolutionary believes that we are just as far as our animal heritage. Humanists believe we are completely surpassing our animal heritage. So we are no longer tied to it. It's a very positive outlook. It's looking at the best things about humans, that we have free will, that we are not controlled by anything other than what we want and can do. I have it down here. It's way over here. They have the biggest things you need to know about humanists is that we have evolved beyond animals. We have free will and self-actualization. Your 2 big people are Carl Rogers and Maslow. It's Maslow, by the way. I put that new section up because I have a floater in my classroom. Fun fact, that's why. So, we won't study them until 2nd semester, end of the year. And you'll pretty much hate them because Carl Rogers and Maslow are the easiest names to forget. But they have the most complicated little theories. But we'll get to that here later. All right, self-actualization. Now the next one is your cognitive perspective, which I don't even have up there. I skipped it the first time too. All right, your cognitive perspective focuses on memory, intelligence, and perception, problem solving, all of that. I'm going to put this here. Cognitive. Cognitive is going to be, it focuses on memory, problem solving, and perception. Those are your 2 big ones. Okay. Now, when we deal with cognitive perspective, we're really going to see this when we get to learning, of course. Okay. Your socio-cultural is going to be your next major perspective. These don't have specific people. Specific cognitive does not. I could throw some people up there, but you don't need to know them. Sociocultural says that the masses teach us what we need. Okay, interactions with others. Teach us our behaviors. So, you learned how to dress by looking at other people. You learned how to behave by looking at other people. The reason why you act and think the way you do is shaped by other people. And we're going to see that we're going to have a lot of social. First week back from winter break is we're studying this for 2 weeks. Most people like social psychology more than anything else. They have the coolest experiments. Okay? And we'll be able to manipulate people. I'll teach you how to do that, which is pretty cool. All right, modern, we have biopsychological, which I also have, looks at the influence of hormones in the nervous system on behavior. It is literally looking at what a part of your body is making you do that. So, for instance, if you're a biopsychological follower, you believed in this, you would believe that the reason why I fell in love with my husband when I first met him, for some reason, a burst of random chemicals of dopamine and serotonin went off in my head, and here I am, 10 years later, okay? It's not love at first sight. There's no, cherubs Okay, there's nothing like that. In my head, the moment I met my husband, all of a sudden dopamine and serotonin went off. I like that response. So every time I saw him, I always got those bursts of dopamine and serotonin. And then here we are, raising a puppy. Yeah. Okay, so that is biopsychological. Everything is based on the chemistry of your body. Your decision making is done by your chemistry. Have you ever came up against a problem, whether physically or mentally, and it gave you like a lurch in your stomach?
Yeah.
It made you feel really uncomfortable, so you didn't do it, or you were more patient with making that decision? Biopsychological would say, is your body reacting and telling you what to do and what to not do? Okay, your nerves would be biopsychological. Okay, all those. Your body's reaction dictates how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. Okay? All right, your next one is evolution. I kind of covered it. Evolution is Darwin believing we've evolved from animals. The reason why we behave is in order to reproduce. Everything we do is to reproduce. Animals, all they have to do is think about reproducing and eating. Evolution believes we only think about eating and making babies. Okay? That everything can be tied back. The reason why we have fear of heights, okay? Our ancestors fell off a cliff when they weren't paying attention. Ta-da, you have fear of heights. I don't know what else we always say. All right, so evolutionary. Okay, the big one you need to know, you need to be able to tie Darwin with that. Typically we use evolution when we're talking about social psychology, when we're dealing with interactions between why do you like some people and why you don't like other people. Okay, the evolution would say they would serve no purpose in a fundamental group during the caveman ages. Have you met people that are completely useless?
Yeah.
That you're just like, I hate you so much. Well, an evolutionary psychologist would say it's because you would have killed them off during Paleolithic times or during the caveman days, that you really just want to kill him now because he serves no purpose. You just kill him because there's no one worth feeding him, right? You're just going to hang out all the time. Okay? Evolution. And that's that. All right. So, types of psychology professionals. First of all, you have a psychiatrist. Psychiatrists and psychologists are two different things. Psychiatrists do medicine. If in your applications, I would write, give prescriptions, prescription medicines. They have an MD, a medical doctorate, which means they go to 4 years for their undergrad or their bachelor's, okay? Then they do 6 years of medical school, and then they do 4 years of residency. So that's 14 years of education. And then they're officially a doctor, and then they can prescribe you medication. Now, everyone in this room, whether you know it or not, knows someone who has ADHD, correct? Okay, whatever they're taking for it. Technically, and it's not always the case, technically, if you are taking any ADHD medicine, you have to go to a psychiatrist. Because ADHD is technically not enough or too much stimulation of your brain. And you take Ritalin or you take the other ones in order to stimulate it more because you're not getting enough, or you have to tone it down, yeah? Technically, you have to go to a psychiatrist to go get that prescribed because it is a psychological thing. Does that make sense? So if you have bipolar disorder and you are going back and forth between your extremes, you go to a psychiatrist. Psychiatrists are the ones doing psychosurgeries. Have you ever heard of lobotomies? People typically only hear lobotomies about around Halloween. You know, like you have like the psycho patient and all that stuff. Lobotomies is when they go in and cut off part of your brain. They separate the front of the brain to the back of the brain. All that stuff, that's done by a psychiatrist. They're the ones prescribing medication, doing surgeries and stuff like that. They are the top tier. Okay? Now, everyone here, I'm going to skip down to psychologists. Join me at psychologist. Focus on this and I'll go back to everything else. I'll let you have enough time to do everything else. But follow me here. So we just talked about a psychiatrist. They have a doctorate, a medical doctorate. They are MD. So when you have someone with a heart attack and someone, is there a doctor here? A psychiatrist says, yes, I'm here. I don't know how useful they'd be as like a dentist. You know how useful they are outside their office? But hey, they are. Okay? A psychologist you can become a psychologist after 4 years of your bachelor's, okay? And then 2 years of a master's. So 6 years of schooling. You can become a psychologist. A psychologist is the one that you sit down and tell your feelings to. Does that make sense? Okay, like, oh, how was your day? Oh, actually, it was a really great day. You know, psychology did great today, but my AP World class is stressing me out. I feel like I'm going to have a heart attack. Oh, Samantha, you need to calm down on AP Psych. No, AP Psych's great. AP World is the issue. They need to get their crap together. We're in week 2. Ugh. And my psychologist would be like, Sam, tone it the hell down. I wish I had a psychologist. Oh my God. It's wonderful. I used to have one. I used to have like a therapist. Some people just call them a therapist. They're a psychologist technically. And you just go and you talk about their problems. They are trained in helping you solve your problems. They only want to talk about you. They only care about what you want to talk about. It's so nice. Can you imagine? You go someplace and you just like vent and then they help you solve your problems. Isn't that so nice? It is so nice. If I could afford it, I would. My sister has a therapist. She has depression, and she's had this therapist for about 6 years now. They have wine. They go to Starbucks and meet there. Like, what the hell? That's what I need. But anyway, so a psychologist is the one you go and you sit down and you talk about your feelings, you talk about your day, you talk about what's going on with your life. Psychiatrist is who you get your medication from. Okay? If you've ever seen an insane asylum, yes? Any horror movie, whatever crappy movies you watch that reference, psychology, that's typically a psychiatrist. They're kind of distant. They don't really ask how your day is. They want to know about your symptoms. Psychiatrist, psychologist ask you about your feelings. You lie down, you sit on the couch, and you start talking. Psychologist. Okay, do you see the difference?
Interesting question.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad someone cares what I'm doing. Okay, so the psychologist, these are your most common. Now, it's important to know that if you are a psychologist, you typically identify yourself in one of these areas. My sister's therapist is a cognitive therapist, which means she's helping my sister problem solve issues. My sister has depression and a slight anxiety disorder. So she's constantly helping my sister try to streamline some of her stress and her anxiety in a problem-focused manner. Does that make sense? However, if my sister had a behaviorist therapist, what she would be looking at, how is my sister reacting to all these situations? And that's how they would try to change my sister's behavior. This is like in your head, thinking about why you think about things the way you do. This is changing your behavior. This is where all the perspectives come in. Typically, your psychiatrist is going to be more what? If they're giving you medicine, what does a psychiatrist typically fall under? They're of course a doctor. We're not taking their titles away. But what perspective would a psychiatrist be under? Bio, psychological, absolutely. Nice job, Scott. They're going to be under bio because if your hormones are low and that's affecting the way you think about things and your masculinity and your ability to approach women and, be macho and whatever you do, okay, then the psychiatrist is going to prescribe you testosterone. It's a very biological. You have this problem because of this deficiency. You need Ritalin because you have a deficiency of serotonin in your brain. You need depression medication because you have this deficiency. That is a psychiatrist. My sister has a psychologist she sees every 2 weeks. They're like bestie status. So I'm so jealous. Okay? And she goes to a psychiatrist once a year. Do we see? That way she can keep getting her medication, her depression. She calls them her happy pills. MOIs, but that's okay. She calls them her happy pills. She goes and sees her psychiatrist once a year to get the prescription. She sees her psychologist every 2 weeks. Do we see the difference between the two? Because you need to understand it now because it's only going to get more complicated. Okay, your psychoanalyst. Okay, your psychoanalyst only follow psychoanalysis. If you're a psychoanalyst, you only believe in psychoanalysis. If you're a psychoanalyst, you only follow the words of Freud. If you're a psychoanalyst, you are only dealing with the subconscious and the conscious. If you are a psychoanalyst, you are interpreting dreams, you're doing stream of conscious. Have you ever seen those Shea lounges where they lie on like this bed thing and they're looking off into space and then the guy's, it's usually a guy, sitting behind you creepily just writing stuff down? Yeah. That is a psychoanalyst. You're just writing down your thoughts and interpreting your thoughts and dreams. To become a psychoanalyst, you probably have to go to BC. I don't know if there's any other school, Boston College, in order to get a degree in psychoanalysis. It takes 4 years of your bachelor. It takes 6 years at BC. You're already 10 years in, and now you can practice psychoanalysis. Because you have to interpret people's dreams, what they say, underline their unconscious and stuff like that. It takes a very long time, and it's a lot of paperwork. Okay? Psychiatric social worker. For instance, did any of you check CNN this morning? Did you see a terrible story about a little boy who was standing outside of CVS trying to sell his toy dog, 7 years old? Someone, this 7-year-old walked up to some guy or some girl and said, "Hi, will you buy my toy?" And they're like, "No, why are you selling your toy?" And he's like, "Oh, I haven't eaten in weeks. I haven't eaten in a couple days, not weeks." So the guy called, or woman, whoever it was, to report it, said there's a little kid outside CVS who was trying to sell their dog, their toy dog, in order to get food. So the police guy came and was like, "Hey, buddy, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just trying to sell my dog. No one will buy my dog." And he's like, "Why are you trying to sell your dog?" He's like, "Oh, I haven't eaten in a couple days." So the police officer, and you couldn't see this on CNN, takes him to Subway. Ugh. If I haven't eaten in a couple days, do not take me to Subway, okay? I need something better than Subway. Anyway, takes him to Subway, feeds him, and takes him to the police station. Once this whole investigation started, they went to this kid's house, and they found that there are 5 children living in this house, and there is no food. It's all cockroaches, and the parents were sitting at home. That's neglect. So what is happening right now, currently, because this happened yesterday, and it's now going on now, they're going to have psychiatric social workers, which means of the 5 kids, there's a 7-year-old and the oldest is 17. Okay? The psychiatric social worker is going to see how damaged is this 7-year-old. Okay? So they're going to they're going to analyze him and thinking, what does he think about this, this, and this to see how damaged he is. If you're a 7-year-old, are you going to be damaged?
Yeah.
If you are a 17-year-old living in that house, you're going to be more damaged or less damaged than that 7-year-old? More. The longer you're involved in this type of abuse, the more effect it's going to have. Okay? So they're going through all 5 children to see how destructive has this environment been on that child's development of normal interactions between parent and child, reliability, trust, all these different types of things, functioning, nutrition, how are they doing? That is something that's going on today, right now, and that is what a psychiatric social worker does. Typically, they go into a situation and see how damaged are you in regards to normal. And that way, once we identify what you're clearly deficient in, clearly trust is an issue in this house, can we agree? You all trust at some point your parents are going to provide you with food, especially when you're young, correct? You may not like what your parents are serving, but there's food. Okay? My mom makes the worst meatloaf. Oh my God. But it was food, technically. Okay? So, there's a trust that at least there's something. Psychiatric social workers are addressing that, seeing what type of issues you have so we can identify the therapy these children are going to need. And that's how it starts. Okay, psychologists we covered, counseling, areas of specialization, all that stuff. Now, when we're dealing with psychology, we're dealing with different subgroups, as you can tell. And I lost my stick.
Chair.
See, always gets me. All right. Now, where do psychologists work? A lot of them work for universities. Why? Teaching is a huge thing. There's always a psychology department. If you're at a liberal arts school, which means like it's an art school, Flagler College is one. We don't have a science department. I had to take 1 science class in college. Yes. Okay, and it has done me no good. It was about rocks. Guess what I've never used in my life? Oh my God, what? Great sediment. Sedimentary rocks. Yeah, no, that's a conversation that's never occurred. Okay? So, that is a liberal arts school. Every single school, whether it is a science university or a liberal arts school, I don't know what they call it, whatever they are going to have a psychology department. You're also going to see that we have a lot of self-employed. These are going to be your therapists who are actually practicing therapy. Okay? Private for profit, these are going to be your government workers are typically going to fall under there. Private, nonprofit, all that stuff. Now, your psychiatrists or subfields, most of them are going to be clinical. What is clinical psychology? Curry.
Isn't identifying and treating mental illnesses?
Yes, it's identifying and treating medical, psychological illnesses, which means are those your low level or your high level? High level, bipolar, depression, and not like my sister has moderate depression, but she's not clinical depressed. Does that make sense? She's not the extreme. Anytime it's clinical, it's typically in a much higher level and much more of an impact on things. Okay? So clinical is going to be your more extreme. Anytime you've ever seen a movie about psychology and there's some mental institution, what type of psychologists, psychiatrists are there? Clinical. It's always going to be clinical. Typically in asylums, you have mental institutions, which both Hillary and Trump are trying to get more around the country. We had a lot in the 1950s. Kennedy actually closed a lot of them because there was a lot of uses going on in those mental institutions. Because of that, we've had a lot of people. Most of your homeless are actually mentally disturbed or have psychological disorders, which is not that surprising. Would you agree? It's because we have no place to send them. We have no place to put them. Those types of patients would be treated by clinical psychologists. Where's the most money? Clinical. Now, typically with asylums and all that stuff, you're typically clinical. You're also all of your research. So if you're at a university and you're conducting research on psychology, you're also called a clinical psychologist. Does that make sense? You're the ones who are out there creating new content, new curriculum, new theories, and all that stuff. You're a clinical psychologist. So it's not just your extreme, your mental institutions and all that stuff. It's also your researchers. You'll notice that counseling is going to be your next biggest one. Counseling is going in and sitting down and having help, talking through major issues, stuff like that. Very helpful. And then you're going to see developmental. Developmental are going to be all of your psychologists here at school. We have a school psychologist. His name's Mr. Lund. Right? I don't know. I think so. I think that's right. L-U-N-D. He comes in and deals with kids. He doesn't necessarily treat them like a counselor. Like a real counselor, not like your guidance counselor. Don't tell them I said that. They're going to be super pissed that I said that. Not like a counseling psychologist. He goes in there and assesses what the issue is and then relates you to someone who can help you at a deeper level because he's essentially in charge of 3 schools, I think. So can he provide you the therapy you need, the help you need? No. He refers you out. And that is what our developmental people do. All right? Yes?
What's under general?
General are the people who kind of don't really fit. Okay? Like, for instance, when we get to our disorders, I talk about a lady who goes in and helps people who has different disorders, how to structure their life to make it easier for them to function within their life with their disorders. People with OCD, for instance, have, like, life coaches come in and help them with their OCD. Technically, they're general. All right, guys, have a great day. See you tomorrow. You have a test, 25 questions, all multiple choice. Have a great